Alright, hey, finally back. Welcome to Order Lawyer Kopi dan kawan-kawan.
Kawan.
I'm Azad and
I'm Ding. Call me Ding.
call you Ding.
Call me Ding.
Okay, so guys, kita nak minta maaf lah. Last 2 weeks we were supposed to have satu lagi episode, tapi ada medical emergency. Our producer ada health issue, so terpaksalah postpone. As health comes first, family comes first.
Family comes first.
So at least this time around we are.
Yay.
Ding, how are you?
I'm fine.
Bawa balik kerja?
Yes, actually. Slept the whole day yesterday.
Oh man.
Kerja malam.
What was the shift like?
7 days straight, 4 hari 12 hours, another 3 hours 10 hours. Another 3 days 10 hours, sorry. So I was really pushing the hours.
Wow. So now that we're all tired out after work, I
Very
think it's about time we have a little bit of coffee kan.
Yes.
So let's
I'm
talk
looking
about
forward actually.
our segment for kopi hari ini. Okay. So kopi dan kopi.
Marilah kita mengopi.
Okay. So this week we brought back something a little bit different. Beza sikit. Kan dulu kita try all these branded coffees. Ni kita balik pada the OG.
Branded juga.
Branded juga,
But
OG.
yes.
Kali ni kita minum Nes. Okay, come on.
Would you like to know more about Nescafe?
Sebelum tu,
Sama kita minum.
kita isi dulu.
SMR sikit.
SMR? Okay, come.
Let me have some of it, please.
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much. This is a coffee that if you really don't know what to drink, you drink this.
Yes. And Nescafe, siapa tak kenal kot? Tahu? Dia tak boleh mistake.
No. This is Nescafe. Minum, you tahu.
Budak mana yang tak tahu Nescafe? Dari kecil, siapa yang tak pernah start first venture, minum Nescafe.
Dia macam apa tau? Dia macam, alah, apa kita panggil tu? Liquid paper.
What?
Yes. Okay. Think of it this way.
Okay.
I will explain. Okay. So Nescafe macam liquid paper as in, this is instant coffee. And yet we call it Nescafe. Sebab apa? So any instant coffee, kita akan panggil Nescafe.
Betul.
Sama juga, any Blanco, white out,
Yes.
kita panggil liquid paper.
Betul. It's a utilized name lah.
Yes. So this is basically liquid paper. Macam tu
It's-
lah.
Okay. Let's talk about the taste. Flavor dia. You rasa when you think about it, when you drink it, how do you feel?
This is reason kenapa kita panggil dia OG is because when you think of coffee in your mind, coffee, this is the baseline. This is all other coffees are judged on this.
Betul?
It's not the best, but this is the, you get me tak? Macam
Yeah,
kalau
betul. The starting, the benchmark.
the benchmark. Kalau macam teh, dia ada benchmark. Teh memang spesifik.
Okay.
Teh
Okay.
ada benchmark, i.e. you have to buat in such a way untuk dapat a standard cup of tea.
Okay.
Ada standards tau, dan this is macam ISO punya standard or something like that.
Okay.
So bila kita cakap ISO standard for coffee, is this.
I have to say sebab benda ni yang antara yang first kita minum as a kid. I ingat dulu masa mengaji, ustaz yang mengaji akan dapat Nescafe kat bawah tu ada susu. Nampak tebal tu.
Dan
Dia kacau jadi Nescafe susu and dia minum. And masa kecil dulu my grandmother akan letak dalam piring.
My grandfather used to do that. I think first few coffee I minum macam tu lah. Tuang kat dalam saucer and then hirup gitu kan. My kid love Nescafe. My kids,
I ingat my
even the
first
youngest,
time,
the 3-year-old.
I think I had mine masa darjah 5. When I had my independently pergi kedai, my parents bawa pergi kedai, order Nescafe OI darjah 5 waktu tu. Oh, and the thing is with the Nescafe itself, okay, deras. You can feel that there is a hit. Dia tak sekuat espresso. Dan ada rasa masam-masam sikit. There's
Yes.
sourness there.
That is dia punya, kenapa dia
I'm
masam?
not exactly sure. I think it's in the
Fermentation
process.
dia.
It's probably in the process of producing the Nescafe. How it's done?
Yes, actually, funnily enough.
Please explain.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people fikir bila cakap pasal Nescafe, instant coffee, a lot of people fikir it's actually biji kopi yang grounded. It's not. Actually, it's not macam kopi yang kita beli, kopi kapal api or something like that, bukan. So this is basically coffee yang dia dah buat jadi kopi, air kopi, and then diorang dry freeze it. Dia keringkan balik.
Freeze dried. And it does really quick, cepat. Dia small hablo-hablo.
And
Apa
then-
begitu?
Crystalline. Kalau English lah.
Okay.
English very crystalline.
And then you just campur air, kacau,
Jadilah ni.
it becomes coffee. So dari segi flavor, it may not be the most adventurous. Bukan
No.
satu benda yang orang kata, ini kopi mahal, espresso.
No.
No. But bagi I, it serves it purpose.
It's
Mancing, memancing
Oh,
Nescafe.
I'm looking forward to that. Tengah-tengah malam kan, tunggu ikan.
Alright. Okay. So now that we have our coffee fix, energy dah start rolling.
Coming.
Yeah. So let's talk about our legal topic this week. Apa case kita? So sekarang ni kita ada dengar quite a few cases yang melibatkan jenayah yang kurang-kurang siuman. So I think it's time we talk about it in our next segment. Okay. So kurang siuman. This is good coffee.
This is actually not too strong. Yes. Right.
Okay, guys, welcome back. Let's go on to our next segment, Upper Case. And segmen kali ni to me lah agak menyedihkan sebab jenayah-jenayah melibatkan orang yang kurang siuman ni nowadays kita dah banyak dengar. You can see in the news ada yang involved with letak keluarga sendiri, and then ada yang violent crimes, ada yang mengamuk dan sebagainya. So there's a lot we need to unwrap about this.
Betul. I think especially in this matter, it's not something yang kita boleh bukan ambil remeh. Sebab macam nak cakap, usually we are very light-hearted dalam
Yeah.
kita punya discussion. But I think in this case, in this particular case, kita kena give it the attention that it deserves. Mental
Betul.
health is something that kita kena bagi attention to. This is part of it lah actually.
And that's why undang-undang pun ada buat satu, orang kata, peruntukan hak untuk kes-kes yang melibatkan orang yang dikira unsound mind.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unsound mind ni dalam peruntukan undang-undang kita ada peruntukan baik itself dalam penal code. Section 8, if I'll read it out for you guys. Act of a person of unsound mind. Ini dia teks ni, nothing is an offence which is done by a person who at the time of doing it by reason of unsoundness of mind is incapable of knowing the nature of the act, or that he is doing what is either wrong or contrary to the law. So dekat situ, that's our legal definition of ni, basically the exclusion clause lah. Kalau seorang tu dikira kurang siuman, unsound of mind, dan masa dia buat apa yang dia buat tu dia tak tahu, dan dia tak faham apa yang dia buat, dan tak tahu sama ada tu salah ke tidak, dari segitu dia dikira tak boleh buat sebarang kesalahan. So why do you think orang yang dikatakan kurang siuman ni ada, orang kata, kelebihan, ataupun bukan say kelebihan that sense, but undang-undang treats them differently?
I think that's the one that you read just now. That is the definition of unsound mind kan?
Basically it's the exclusion, how we can consider a person tak dikira bersalah due to that.
Because of dia tak tahu apa yang dia buat at that time. And that's the basic of it lah.
That's the logic lah.
That's the logic of it lah. Exactly. But bila cakap pasal tu kan, then it opens up the whole new, I wouldn't say it's worms, tapi macam how do I say this? It opens up a whole new macam what if punya soalan.
Yes,
Macam
it brings up a whole new conversation. Sebab
ada yang cakap, oh, it's a free ticket. You get me
kat
tak?
OKU dia kata
Kat
ni
OKU,
kat OKU kau ni asal itu
I
lah
can
kat
buat
OKU.
jenayah. Notice ada. Or at the same time, balik pada contoh self defense argument. Orang kurang siuman, bawa parang kat hang. Contoh, okay, even worse, you are a policeman and you ada senjata right now. What do you do? Sebab hang nak, kalau orang tu siuman bawa parang terkam kat hang, that he is trying to kill you, so you shoot in self defense. I think kan gitu kan. That's how normally it works.
It can be done, yes. Kalau kata you rasa nyawa you terancam, the self defense ni dari segi undang-undang kita boleh protect diri kita sendiri, tetapi dia kena berpada-pada. Maksudnya kena berikut tara dia. So kalau kata macam, for example, satu budak datang dengan you bawa kayu ranting nak pukul you, takkan you tembak dia.
Betul. Okay.
But
what if orang kurang siuman? Then what happens?
Okay, that's the thing. Kadang-kadang with orang kurang siuman ni, kadang-kadang kita tak tahu. Kita tak tahu dia kurang siuman tidak. So kita nak make assumptions pun susah. Pada masa yang sama, kalau you nak protect diri you, mungkin you fikir lain. Tapi kalau ada anak, ada family, mungkin you lagi-lagi protective. So dia put it this way lah.
Dia banyak itu. You get me tak? It's sangat benda yang how do we quantify? Navigate is one thing. How do we quantify as a member of law, member of the court? Can I call you?
I'm an officer of the court.
Officer of the court. Okay. As an officer of the court, how would orang tu kurang siuman at that particular time?
Okay.
That's the main question.
The question asked by the law biasanya dia akan consider satu, whether or not someone tu is fit to plea atau fit to stand trial. Okay, sama dia faham tak what's going on dekat mahkamah ni, yang dibaca petuduhan dia faham tak. Kalau dia tak fit, then court can postpone the matter and hantar dia ke Hospital Tanjung Rambutan. Tanjung Rambutan hospital bahagia lah. We have another one in Tampoi, I think, untuk mengesahkan. There's two hospital bahagia sekarang ni, dekat Tanjung Rambutan satu, dekat Tampoi satu. Dia akan buat analisis lah, nak check dia faham tak apa yang berlaku, dia faham tak dia kena tuduh, dia faham tak dia akan dibicarakan. Okay, so in that case dia fit to stand trial tidak. And secondly, dia orang akan cuba ascertain juga, dia akan cuba find out masa kejadian. Ini paling penting. Masa kejadian tu adakah dia siuman ataupun tak. Now, siuman ataupun tak siuman ni pula ada dua definition beza. Under medical lain. Medical dia akan point certain disease ataupun certain mental condition. Contohnya kita biasa dengar schizophrenia. You dengar suara, you nampak benda, and you I've seen people that way. And also ada setengah tu mungkin dia dengar auditory hallucinations, ataupun ada setengah tu dengar suara, ada yang some people dia rasa macam dia ada multiple personality disorder.
Okay.
So bila dia identify the disease, dia identify the situation, sekarang ni mahkamah kena make the finding. Masa berlaku kejadian tu, dia faham tak apa dia buat? Dia faham tak nature yang dia benda yang dia buat tu? Dan dia faham tak akibat benda yang dia buat? Dia tahu tak benda yang dia buat tu menyalahi? So that's a legal sanity punya test. So
So
kalau
in a court, the legal sanity punya test tu yang take precedence.
yes, so walaupun seorang
Understand?
tu dikatakan dia ada skizofrenia, dia dengar suara duk bisik, ketuk mamat tu, ketuk mamat, and dia ikut suara tu. Pada masa dia buat, dia tahu tak, dia faham tak benda tu salah, dan dia faham tak benda tu boleh menyakitkan orang. Kalau dia faham semua tu, despite having that medical condition, dia masih dikira not insane at that point in time.
So medically he ada mental punya issues, but kalau dari segi
Legally,
he can be
yeah, he can be convicted. Kalau katakan dia faham, dia tahu, dia understand the nature of benda dia buat, dia nak tikam orang dengan parang. You faham tak tikam orang kat parang, kat tengkuk ni apa effect dia? And all that. If they understand that, then they can still be found guilty and can be tried. But if they don't understand that, then they can consider as insane. So in cases yang orang yang didapati kurang siuman or legally insane when the time happens, they can be acquitted, dilepaskan on the grounds of insanity. So I think if you remember ada a couple of cases dulu yang kalau kata disabitkan kesalahan dapati memang dia dah insane ataupun by insanity plea lah. Dia dihantar dan ditahan di Tanjung Rambutan ataupun at the pleasure of IDP. Maksud dia ditahan sampailah dia the board says he's well enough untuk menjalani hukuman penjara ataupun to be released. So
boleh jadi hukuman penjara balik.
To face the crimes that he did lah. Depending juga.
Tapi the crime that he did, he acquitted from that
If
crime.
he was acquitted at that time, masa tu dia memang tak insane. When he was insane at that time, then most probably dia akan dilepas. But again, they would have to go through a strenuous to have a look. And that's the thing yang aku risau. When you think about it, berapa ramai sangat yang orang yang mental illness as something yang
Serius.
sepele.
Betul.
Macam our culture sendiri. You ingat masa kita duduk kat kampung, ada mesti ada je.
Jangan pergi situ ada orang. I know. Aku tak nak cakap sangat. The thing is that sometimes it's derogatory tau.
Yeah.
But it is what kita dekat kampung bercakap ataupun dekat orang kecil.
But it
tengok orang tu.
it shows the attitude of society. Kita tengok dia orang ni, kita anggap sometimes dia orang anggap benda funny. Oh tu orang gila. The word gila, the word sewel yang digunakan. Orang 3 suku lah dia panggil. The thing is, some people make fun of it. But they don't realise dan dia orang need help. They actually need help. Dan benda ni, it's unfortunate. Kita tak boleh nak teka siapa yang akan jadi. In fact, nowadays baru kita start realise that people have mental struggles macam depression, and of course, ADHD is not mental struggle, it's learning disability, but it affects our cognitive capabilities, our ability to. So benda ni dah baru nak realise. But back then nobody cares.
That's the thing. I don't think until today pun a lot of people can. In fact. Because again, if we go back to the jenayah itself, orang yang commit that jenayah because of dia mentally incapacitated at that time, okay? And then dia buat that jenayah. Now, we cannot hukum dia because dia tak tahu at that time. But dia punya situation, dia punya family tahu yang he's not well at that time. But the family did nothing. So you get that? Then in the end, dia punya responsibility tu ultimately jatuh pada siapa? And kalau jatuh pada family dia, I don't know, in terms of law, I don't think kita buat macam tu kan.
That ways, kalau katakan seorang tu has been declared to be sound ataupun dah didiagnose as ill and tak boleh jaga diri, dan dia biasanya akan ada caretaker dia, dan caretaker dia is responsible lah towards looking after said person.
So that caretaker jaga orang ni keluar pergi tikam orang.
That's the thing. So dari segi criminal liability, of course tak boleh nak salahkan yang caretaker tu per se, unless dia sengaja lepas knowing that this would happen. Then that's another issue. There's another whole can of worms. Tapi kalau katakan dia tak sengaja, and of course nak jaga people yang ada mental illness ni tak mudah. It takes round the clock care, and then of course usually tak semua orang well equipped, and as a nation pun kita punya kesedaran and kita punya ability to help people yang have these problems or families yang have these problems tak kuat. So dia terlepas and they commit surrender. Macam ada yang kata orang ni dia tak nak makan ubat. Dia of course ubat-ubat ni ada side effect. Some people akan jadi macam vegetative ataupun tak boleh nak berfikir because of the medication yang dia orang terima. But that medication helps suppress certain issue. Tapi bila dia tak makan ubat, dah lama tak tiba-tiba dia jadi. So in that sense, I think kita kena consider,
and there are family members yang jenis macam Dia tak nak pakai ubat nak buat macam mana?
Tak boleh macam tu. That's the thing. Yang I'm quite upset at. Have you seen?
But again, back to you punya specialty ni kan,
Hmm.
the course dia ada ni ke ada macam mesti makan ubat? Something like that.
The thing is, benda macam ni,
Ah.
usually kalau sampai ke mahkamah, it's already too late. By the
Ya,
time when it comes to court, it's already too late. Benda ni sebenarnya, I think as a community and also untuk kebajikan masyarakat, should look into. Kalau katakan, don't be afraid if you feel like a family member is struggling.
Ah.
Ataupun dah mula dengar suara, dah mula ada, that they are going through something, possibly cause problems later on. Then it's on you to bawa diorang to be. Bawa diorang. Kalau you sendiri rasa, and again, ni mudah I cakap. It's easy for me to say. I tak kena benda ni dan apa, though I've seen families yang struggle with this, I think dari situ mungkin kerajaan can do something more to help assist these people yang ada family members yang ada masalah dari segi have suffering from severe mental disorders, to assist them, cari place to keep these people and give them the care that they need. Sebab ya, macam isu nak makan ubat. Kalau tak makan ubat, nanti jadi teruk. Family pula sekarang tu macam marah lah juga nak jaga, bukan senang kan.
Betul. Again, like you said lah, kita cakap mudah sebab we are not affected by it secara langsung at the moment. Kita bukan cakap benda tu senang. It's not.
Yes.
We understand it's susah benda tu. And macam tadi Hang cakap pasal sebagainya. I think as far as I remember, ada saluran, ada channel untuk request bantuan. Cumanya I don't think cukup dihebahkan.
Agree. And at the same time, mungkin resources pun tak. But there are the rumah penjagaan khas. And even macam yang cakap di Hospital Tanjung Rambutan, Hospital Tampoy, ada dia punya specialty and capabilities. In fact, kalau you pergi singgah Hospital Bahagia Tanjung Rambutan, you tengok the hospital, it's huge. Dia ada rehabilitative punya area, and I've been there on visits a couple of times, and nampaklah dia orang betul-betul cuba usaha untuk balikkan dia orang ni pada keadaan normal so that they can integrate balik dengan society. The first things first, I think kita tak boleh malu. Kita tak boleh berdiam diri. Tak boleh something lah. Tell me your opinion on this. But I rasa some people rasa malu bila ada keluarga, family member yang ada masalah macam schizophrenia ataupun masalah mental. Would you agree?
I think kita kena ada society di mana orang boleh minta tolong and kita ada orang yang akan membantu. We need to have that society yang di mana orang tak segan nak minta tolong. Kadang-kadang kita, dan kan ini Malaysian punya, it's a Malaysian way. Kadang-kadang kita tak menyusahkan orang.
Tak nak jaga orang. Tak nak jaga tepi kain orang.
Tak nak jaga tepi kain orang. But it's built on this saling bantu-bantu. That's the reason kenapa kita evolve into society punya being. So,
and that's why kalau kata yang kaum Muslims pun dia tahu people with unsound mind in Islam is treated very differently.
Yeah.
They are bound to heaven.
Yes.
Bound to go to heaven because they are blameless. Dia tak tahu apa yang dia buat, tak tahu salah dia buat. So di situ I think kita kena be more, the society needs to be more proactive. Kena start helping out, start seeing these symptoms and issues and bring it up to be helped to be treated. Dan pada masa yang sama, I think, macam you cakap, setengah-setengah tools in society tak dihebah. I think that one, betul lah kita kena hebahkan lebih dan make it more acceptable to people to understand. Yang this is not the 1930s.
Yeah.
This is not the 1900s yang dulu lobotomy untuk orang yang ada masalah.
Kepala kan?
Yes. And then macam for example, dulu there was no word for depression. It was called the blues. Okay. Until after several world wars, baru kita realise askar kita balik suffer from PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. So benda tu is baru kita recognize. And now dah ada benda tu, we should be a bit more accepting. And also, I think benda yang patut kita hentikan kat dalam Facebook ke, bila ada ni mesti keluar kat queue. Jangan main. Tak jadi kat family you satu. Kedua, OKU and someone who's mentally challenged or seorang yang ada kurang siuman can be differentiated tau. Tak semuanya OKU macam tu. Jangan kita mula pandang rendah kepada those in need dalam kita punya own community.
It's a bit heavy lah this one, but it's something that we have to bring up as a society. We need to bring up. We need to understand that some people are different and they need our help. And kita kena, sebab bila kita tak bring this up, orang malu nak minta tolong. And kita kena ada that society di mana orang tak segan nak minta tolong. We need to have that culture di mana kalau orang minta tolong, dia tak malu nak minta tolong. Sekarang orang malu nak minta tolong. And that is the sedihnya kat situ because these are the people yang marginalized by society.
Yes. And kadang-kadang kesiannya because benda yang berlaku tu is not the fault of their own. Bukannya
No,
diorang nak sakit.
betul.
Bukan diorang nak.
Siapa yang nak sakit?
And at the same time, kita pula shun them and look down on them and buat lawak pasal kad OKU. That's the thing. But on the flip side, let's also talk about mangsa dalam kes-kes macam ni. Because
Because there is that part juga.
yes. So macam for example mangsa yang berlakunya ada keganasan, yang orang tak siuman, yang pukul orang. How do you comfort them? Macam nak beritahu dia biarkanlah orang tu
Orang
tersihat. Dia ni dah kena tetap.
itu lah.
How can we justify
Dia
that?
punya husband dah.
Yeah.
Kan ada that case tu kan?
Yeah, there's recently. So in those cases, my opinion lah, I rasa that's why ahli keluarga yang menjaga atau yang bertanggungjawab tu kena at least bagi I it's open untuk kena tindakan undang-undang dari segi saman civil ke, at least dapatkan some form of compensation. No, RM1 tak dapat nak replace nya. Okay, but at the same time takkanlah kita nak biar dia as a person dah suffer from all this just because orang
Because
tu
person yang suffer tu mesti nak somebody needs to be responsible.
that way. Yes.
Yeah, tapi kalau the orang yang tetap tu tak responsible, then who is? Sebab kalau tak, dia tak ada, yang orang mangsa tu tak ada resolution.
Yes. Kat mana buck to go?
Ah,
Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's fair untuk
berat soalan hang ni sebenarnya. No, betul. Because of, is it fair? Some people might say it's fair. Some people might say it's not fair. How do we,
as a layperson, you let's put it into to the test. Kalau katakan
kalau kita boleh buktikan bahawa the thing happen because of neglect daripada penjaga, then I think it's fair kalau kita boleh put the blame, put the responsibility on the penjaga. But kalau it's not their fault artinya, then probably we cannot tak the blame kat situ lah.
I think tak jauh beza dengan situation dengan, so kalau katakan kanak-kanak buat sesuatu jenayah and somebody else because dia kanak-kanak, especially yang mana under 10 years old, tak boleh ada kesalahan apa semua kan. Takkanlah orang yang mangsa tu tak ada place to find recompense, tak ada tempat untuk dapat ganti rugi ataupun some form of justice. So di situ penjaga atau ibu bapa kanak-kanak tu mungkin boleh dipertanggungjawabkan. You can sue them in place of the child.
But again, issue of are they actually responsible ke tak? Does it come to play?
Yes, it does come into play. But of course, you nak kata mak bapak 100% bertanggungjawab 24/7. It's a bit difficult.
Betul.
Okay, sebab budak tu mungkin pergi sekolah. Masa tu tak ada dalam kalam mak bapak. Can mak bapak be blamed for that?
Exactly. That's the thing. So, at what percentage?
I think it's a case to case basis.
Think so.
Kena tengok pada kejadian pada masa tu, and how it happened, and siapa yang sepatutnya menjaga. But it comes down to this. I think isu jenayah kurang siuman ni, it's something yang kita as a society kena attend. Kita kena attend. We cannot ambil ringan. Okay, bukan nak kata setiap orang yang ada masalah gangguan mental akan mengamuk. But there's also a reason why the word amuk ada. Okay, and it's now even known in Malay and also in other languages.
Amok.
Run amok.
Sorry, amok.
Yeah. So I think it's time kita start taking it seriously and start making sure there is progress. Okay, general progress in the medical field and also the community caretaking of our people. Bukan macam dulu bila nampak yang lari tak pakai baju, cakap tu orang tu tak betul.
I have a quick question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Like you said, progress in the society punya level, the medical level dan sebagainya. But do you think kita punya legal punya level, is the laws that currently on the book covers benda ni, ataupun do you think it should be diperdebatkan, bahasa Melayu aku, diperdebatkan lagi
Okay.
untuk to fine tune ke, you get me tak?
That's actually quite a good question sebab kita ada undang-undang untuk tangani masalah bila dah berlaku. Okay, but masalah yang belum berlaku, I think we have the Mental Health Act. Okay, yang memang dah ada. But pada masa yang sama, looking at the new masalah yang makin ada sekarang ni, isu-isu yang makin wujud, macam we're discovering new things. We're discovering people yang ada what do you call that, yang dia sekejap from one mood to another, manic depression.
Manic depression.
Okay, manic depression yang ada, and all those things that come around. I think kita punya undang-undang kena be updated, kena be looked into. Perhaps we can allow for better care ataupun better responsibility untuk people yang have those medical conditions, and kalau mereka yang tak ada medical, tak ada support system. Contohnya, kita banyak juga jumpa ataupun gelendangan yang ada masalah mental yang family pun tak ada. Jadi apa yang nak buat?
Siapa nak support?
Siapa nak support? JKM is doing their best. Sebab dia ada akta apa-apa, dia ada hantar ke mahkamah untuk mereka ni dihantar ke certain pusat jagaan
Ah.
and diorang cuba cari family members. But so far as I know, jarang nak ada kes di mana keluarga tu diletakkan, okay, you wajib jaga orang because orang ni dalam keadaan macam
But
ni.
the courts can do that.
That I think kita kena look into. I'm not exactly sure because specialty is criminal law, but I believe
I do apologize though for this actually. Sebab I'm taking you back to your office while you're not in your office, and I do apologize. Yeah.
So I think that's one of the topics that we can look into. At the same time, aku rasa kalau katakan jadi berlaku isu criminals yang involved with mental issues, and I think it's more, we have to be more sensitive.
Yeah,
we have to be more
that's
sensitive. And the courts pun, I think in some ways kena start looking at it from a different angle. Bukannya kita boleh simply label orang yang blackout tak tahu apa dia buat je yang buat jenayah. There are some cases yang diorang view tu macam abuse. Family dah lama and dia strike out anger ataupun ada. Bila dia dah kena abuse teruk sangat, at one point dia
understand,
react
yeah.
that way. So that may not be orang kata pure insanity. There is reason why they did. I'm not saying that,
Driven to it.
yes, I'm not saying that dia orang patutnya totally be patut dilepaskan, tak perlu tanggungjawab langsung. But pada masa yang sama, I think we should also take into consideration yang benda-benda macam tu, it's not something yang clear cut. It's not orang yang sengaja pergi nak tikam orang. Is it kena bezakan jauh. So okay, now that we've talked about the legal issues and currently, maybe let's look into mental health in general, in how we live our lives with mental health. And that will be our topic for the next segment, which is Sembang Kopi.
So boleh minum kopi lagi ni?
Boleh minum kopi tu?
Okay.
Minum.
Thank you.
And that's still good though.
Yeah.
Hot or cold.
We need another
Okay.
pot lepas ni.
Itulah aku rasa macam this coffee, true betul. Kalau hari-hari aku minum,
I think we are on.
I know. I'm just enjoying my coffee.
Yeah. On, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay, so now I think we come into the, not just the legal application.
Mental health in general.
So kesihatan mental ni dari segi kesihatan, yelah ramai orang duk now this generation sampai sekarang ni lembik, asyik depression. What do you think?
Is it? That's the thing. Is it? The thing is that kalau kita tengok again, so this is macam aku punya point of view, especially where I work. I work dealing with people.
Yeah.
Studied dealing with machine.
Betul.
Engineering kan.
Yeah.
So
logic.
so I studied dealing with machines, but I've been working dealing with people all the way. There are some days where I prefer dealing with machines than people. However, but on the serious note, the thing is that because people are people,
Okay, they're not monkeys.
they're not
Yeah,
monkeys.
right,
Exactly.
right,
This is my point. My point is people. Sorry. Okay, no, on a serious note, I deal with people. So there is a lot, by understanding people, you understand that there's a lot of minor input daily yang kita terima. And then people dulu have a certain number of problems that affect them. However, people sekarang, a certain number of problems that affect us. Now, if you remember, back when you were young,
Yeah.
before the zaman
Thank you for
of...
calling me old. Thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Kita not
Okay.
old. Anyway, when we were younger, before zaman handphone,
Okay.
before zaman internet,
Okay.
you are old enough for that, right?
Of course.
Okay, alright. Okay, just in case.
Okay.
Before zaman tu, apa benda yang affect kita waktu kita budak-budak? Very little thing.
Ya, kadang the TV or
Playing with friends. You get
kadang-kadang
it,
kita nak main belah petang, tiba-tiba hujan. Nak marah kat siapa kan?
Exactly.
Kena mengamuk lah.
And remember kita punya parents at that time. What affected them?
That one.
Kalau dari segi ekonomi, what affected them?
Yeah.
Dari segi ni, you get tak?
Yeah.
But now, the same, kita ambil that age, kita sekarang, at the same age our parents were back then, what affects us? We have more things that affect.
Yeah, I think the study of psychology.
I'm not calling orang tua, they had
No.
it easy. No, they went to school uphill both ways. Kan? Zaman-zaman parents kita,
di mesin boleh survive.
5 sen boleh survive. Zaman kita, parents pergi sekolah tak pakai kasut, naik bukit, balik pun naik bukit. But the point is that it's always generation to generation things that affect berbeza. So I wouldn't say kita soft. I just say that we are affected by a different set.
Ataupun I think science has progressed to a certain level yang kita boleh identify. Kita boleh tengok dan kita boleh kesan dan kita boleh faham. Dulu macam saya cakap lah, dulu tak ada depression, it was just the blues. Okay, so you're in the down the dumps or you're in the blues. Ataupun tengoklah cara dia orang deal with people with mental disorders at one point. Dulu yang kena lobotomize, ada yang kalau even before that, orang ni kena rasuk.
Yeah,
Ada yang mengikut. So again, touch wood, okay, again, benda macam ni bukan nak kata benda baru. It's not new. Cuma nowadays dengan kebolehan yang ada,
Kita
dengan
tahu apa benda.
advances yang ada, kita boleh detect, kita boleh nampak Of course, there will always be people yang cry.
Itu dari
Of
dulu.
course. In fact, there was one case ingat masa kat mahkamah satu masa dulu. This guy ni, dia hanya this accused person ni, dia hanya akan jadi gila bila court berjalan. Bila court tengah stand down dia okey. So bila dia court, bila buzzer tu bunyi, hakim naik, oh dia punya ada hantu, dia jerit-jerit nak tenang-tenang orang semua. Bila the judge turun je, on recess je dia okey, siap minta rokok. There are people who cry. There are people who cry. But at the same time, I think kita tak boleh blind our eyes juga to the real situation, real mental effects yang akan ada nowadays. Sebab yelah nak kata kerja kita pun, nature work pun dah beza kan compare dengan zaman dulu.
Betul.
Not say that 100% different, but let's put ourselves 200 years back. 200 years back, ada ke yang jaga hotel?
Does exist, but it's not the way we know it today.
Macam dulu kita ada cobblers, kita ada blacksmith.
Correct.
Nowadays we have those. It's different.
Very.
So the nature of the job pun dah bertukar.
Betul.
Now a lot of us are involved with service industry, healing. Tapi as a lead, because you have a where you work, how do you see?
We actually had a HR talk recently about this matter. Actually, basically things like, especially macam your people that you work with, and in my case, people that I stay with. Sebab duduk dekat an apartment that was
Okay.
a hotel apartment.
So you're in close contact ah.
And close contact dengan my roommate contohnya.
Okay.
So they taught us things macam sometimes it's just small things. Dia punya daily punya routine may change. Dia punya daily punya mood may
Emotions dia.
change. So if you work with them cukup lama, you can detect these things.
So you dah build rapport lah.
Something is a bit off, but you're not too sure apa, but you just know that it's a bit off. So you start asking questions. And these are the things
So
that
you should ask questions lah.
macam yes, everything okay. Kadang-kadang you don't want to ask question. Jangan ask pointed question macam, do you have a problem? Obviously, hang jawab no. Do you have an issue?
Yeah. Now, especially in Malaysia. Are you okay? I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm fine.
So sometimes you want to ask open-ended questions. Think macam, hey, is everything? Hey, anything you want to talk about?
I see.
Something open, something that does not compel them to tell you what don't ada issue,
Yeah.
but giving them a chance to, hey, if you need anything.
Yeah, I think
Basically.
that's important because kadang-kadang going through the struggles of at our age, kita kerja on a daily basis. Okay, memang every day. I wouldn't call it's a struggle. It's a struggle
And
because
it's a mental struggle.
yeah,
right?
we have to go through work every day, and kadang-kadang we don't want to be sick. We don't want to deal with what's going on in our head. Now, I personally go through that. I'll give you an example. There was one time when I was a magistrate. When I was during my time, there was a person who died dalam tahanan, and I was brought as coroner lah. That time magistrate was still coroner, so kita tengok we have to go and check the tempat location and even follow masa dia buat postmortem. Now, seeing a man being that one, the next few days tu, I was not right. I know. And fortunately for me, I had a good support system. The staff kat mahkamah were my best friends, and dia orang nampak and dia orang tegur and dia orang try to distract me or at least help me fikir balik, understand, faham balik apa situasi tu, and cuba be normal balik. But I think betul lah you cakap, somebody else needs to look in.
Betul.
Orang lain kena be on alert and tengok whether or not your buddy, your workmate, if there's something going on. And I think that one, sebab kita let's talk about being men. Okay, as men, kita rarely ever nak kita ada. And it's some form, orang kata macam ini kelemahan. You mengaku tu, you lemah.
I know some people say that. I don't look at it that way, but I know some people say that.
And what do you think?
Sometimes society has a different view of masculinity. Some part of society fikir as a man, you deal with the issues yourself.
That's the thing. That's the mabro
in the
man.
end, before kita man, we are human.
Okay,
As
alright.
human, we do need our
But that's the thing. Sometimes admitting to those, kita takut orang akan pandang kita. Kita takut orang akan tengok kita as dia lembik. Itu yang kita man paling
risau.
yeah.
Takut.
And then macam some people pula macam kata dia ni tak hati nak sort his own.
No, but okay. How do you solve it? Contoh, again, kadang-kadang benda-benda macam mental health ni, it's not sometimes it's not even something big. Sometimes something small, something that change your routine. Contoh, on my personal basis, I work in a hotel. I talk to people on a daily basis. I talk to my team on a daily basis. And then aku kena kerja malam for 7 days. Seorang. Malam-malam kan seorang kan, dekat reception. Seorang malam-malam. It affects aku punya mental because for 12 hours aku kerja, no one else is around. Kadang-kadang aku jumpa lah aku punya public attendant yang tengah sapu halaman juga. Moment, okay. Dan aku sorang-sorang. So, how do I deal with it? I talk to myself.
It's a coping mechanism.
It is.
It's a coping mechanism.
But I'm
It
lucky
reminds
I
me of
have a coping mechanism. Some
it,
people don't.
it reminds me of that yang apa cerita apa Outcast, was it?
You know, Tom Hanks. Wilson! I remember.
So they create
Is it
something to. Was it
Outcast?
Outcast? Was it? I can't remember. Castaway.
Thank you,
Fitri.
producer.
Castaway.
Podcast.
Yeah, betul. Find a way to cope with it. But I think toxic masculinity is an issue yang kita ramai sangat ditekankan untuk just be a man about it.
Tak boleh.
In some sense, yes. In some sense, you have to build certain discipline untuk kita be able to handle the smaller problems. Tak adalah every single thing yang terjadi kat you menangis. No.
But to a certain level, you need help. And you
Yes.
must be able to.
Yes. Yang itu satu.
Itu betul.
Kita kena self-recognize yang bila tiba masa, I can't deal with it. I need somebody to talk.
Di JKM, ada talian counselling? You don't know.
I know about yang macam yang apa people who are nak take their own lives. Yang I dengar itu, I dengar lah.
Befrienders. That's
Befrienders.
That's befrienders. Those are NGOs. JKM, ada talian counselling. Again, it's not dihebahkan. Tapi ada. You can call and you can talk to them and for counselling. And if they think that you should, they can refer you to hospital yang ada psychiatrist or psychologist. Ada. And remember dulu waktu kita kat sekolah, kita ada guru counselling.
Yes.
Do we still have that now?
We still have.
Still.
We do. Every school usually ada.
So, kita ada guru counselling where we can talk to that teacher.
Yeah.
And JKM ada benda tu. Government has that mechanism in place. But the thing is that I think, I'm not saying the government fail, but I think this is where we can do better. Sebarkan benda tu.
Betul. Let people be known, but at the same time we have.
PSA, Public Service Announcement.
Betul. I think this one kita patut ajar kanak-kanak ni. Children from dari kecil lagi to understand dia punya emosi, to faham apa. Again, this is very inwardly. Some people think about fikir pasal rasa marah, rasa sedih ni is all mushy stuff. Tak, you kena ajar anak-anak you untuk faham kenapa you marah and how to deal with rasa marah. How to deal with rasa macam ni. Who to talk to. Tell them, teach them that it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to
deal with it, but if you cannot deal with it, who do you talk to? Itu betul.
Bukannya yang kalau kita bagi mental health support to anyone, semua orang akan jadi lembik. Understand that there are struggles yang orang takkan.
Sometimes people become stronger.
Yeah.
No, people know. Because sometimes people become stronger when they know that they have. I believe it.
I agree. And I hate all those influencers mana yang cakap if you have a mental issue, that's a scam. You're being weak. Oh,
but we are talking about influencers. There's a lot.
Thank you. Yes, you're right.
There is a lot of influencers yang I feel bad saying this actually. But
Go ahead.
Okay, there are influencers, not all, but there are influencers yang try to become very smart in terms of philosophy. Inilah mental philosophy.
Yeah.
Don't love your job, you love. What? So basically orang boleh cakap, don't judge a book by cover, put the book on the judge. What does it mean? It means nothing. Don't love your job, you love. What does that mean? No, you're trying to be philosophical, but what does that mean?
Oh wow, congratulations Plato, well done.
Well done. Excellent. So the thing is like these influencers cakap macam, oh you as a man kena. There are manly influencers yang macam, oh as a man you have to do this, as a man you have to do that. Really?
That's
Different people have different needs. You cannot be going, oh as a man, oh alpha male, omega male, or whatever Greek letters nak guna, sigma male or whatever. But there are people who are pushing this narrative yang, oh you must be a beta male or whatever. You get beta because how
ada orang suka nak label nak letak orang macam ni, you pemikiran macam ni. That labeling is toxic. Dan masalah yang kita alami sekarang, mental health among the working classes. Macam kita consider working classes. People yang I think benda ni masalah yang duk berulang dah berzaman. The Great Depression, early 1910s, bila orang semua tak dibenarkan untuk minum apa. After the Great War, the economic punya, the Great Depression they call it.
No, itu for the okay,
and the Prohibition era.
Prohibition era. Thank you. That's the one.
So even after every World War, bila ada masalah ekonomi, ramai again working class, doesn't matter male or female, suffer from Great Depression. Jadi ialah kita risau nak provide kita punya tugas, and I think benda tu stayed with us for a long. Dia tak hilang-hilang.
But itulah dia. In the end, we need to be able to as a person, we must be able to bagi cakap dengan diri kita, what is something that I need to talk to someone to, or I need to ask for help from. Sebagai a person, we need to be able to say that. As a society, we must be able to accept that. In the
Yeah.
end, itu je sebenarnya yang untuk kita to help among ourselves. That's why friends are important.
Having good friends.
Yes.
Keeping your mind away from the toxic friends. There are toxic people, and
Yeah.
this is the thing yang kita kena pandai. As zaman sekarang, working class people, kita kena make sure kita bergaul, bercampur dengan people yang boleh tolong kita,
Betul.
yang people yang boleh uplift kita.
Betul.
Okay. Kalau orang tu saja nak downkan you, ni kau nampak sekih hari-hari dia tegur dengan cara tak elok, apa ni muka sememeh, lalas sekali, kita pun be
Jadi
depressed.
sememeh.
Jadi why we need to have them around?
Correct. Betul?
We don't need to have them around. Oh, I learned a lesson when I started working in the private sector is that kadang-kadang you don't have to listen to other voice. Tune them out.
You just need to listen to the important voices.
Yeah, macam I think Will Smith said it. And again, Will Smith being quoted, it might not be the best choice, but he did say living your life at somebody else's wishes, according to somebody else's wishes, is a very bad way to live your life. So orang pandang you, orang kata, oh you sememeh, and you live your life based on that. It's really bad. You tune them out.
Have good family, great family to support you, great friends to support you. I think these are the things that actually builds a man.
Yeah.
And not only that, builds a society, human itself. But as man, that's the thing.
Okay. So, let's have a look. Ni, apa?
Really? Ada orang?
Ada. Jani ada cakap Sigma.
Jadi, yes, jadi of course, we know.
Yes. Tak tahu kenapa lah. I don't know what's this thing about the Sigma.
Okay, so apparently, according to Andrew Tate, I think it's some guy on the internet. So basically, maybe not Andrew Tate, but okay, according to the internet, there are a few classes of male. There's alpha male, and then there's dulu is alpha male, which is the top dog, and then you got the beta. The beta is the second class punya yang softer punya male.
Okay,
Alright? Macam not male enough. You get me lah.
Okay.
And then apparently after that, ada pula keluar sigma male, which is higher than the alpha male.
Tapi
Apparently,
kenapa dia skip banyak?
aku tak tahu.
Alpha, beta,
And kenapa sigma kat bawah tu naik atas pula? You get me tak? Sebab alpha paling atas lah. So you got alpha, beta ni A, B,
betul
C.
betul. Belakang ni omega male.
For all ada. Who knows?
Labels, man. Okay, Takif posed a question. So my question is, if that person has mental issue that can prompt to do something that can relate to crime, should that person be in restraint or something? Okay.
Legally. This is on you.
This is interesting. Okay, kalau you rasa seseorang tu mungkin akan bertindak di luar kawalan yang ada possibility untuk dibuat apa-apa kesalahan, I think kalau kata you rasa macam tu, first inform the authority. Inform. So diorang pun ada crisis handling untuk kes-kes macam ni. Kalau benda kita boleh prevent. Dan kalau katakan orang ni you rasa perlu intervention, perlu rawatan, then maybe sama ada convince dia untuk dapatkan rawatan segera. There are places yang boleh hantar untuk emergency care. Ataupun if dia tak nak bagi kerjasama, figure out dengan pihak hospital buat permohonan untuk dia dimasukkan secara paksa.
Boleh.
There are some places that will.
There are legal framework for that.
Legal or not, it becomes a very murky area.
Is it?
Sebab kita nak ambil freedom from someone, nak take away someone's freedom. It's their constitutionally protected right, their freedom to move around. Tapi if you believe that they are in grave danger and they are in danger of hurting themselves or other people, if you believe that is medical in nature, okay, mental punya health,
Ada what's the word? Exigent in nature.
hard word. Oh, I haven't even heard of that word.
Exigent. Macam you have to do it now. Kalau tak ada that, as you can see, I watch a lot of legal dramas.
Oh well. Oh well. Tapi yeah, if you believe someone is in danger of hurting themselves, hurting other people, then get them the medical help they need. Alert the authorities. Just so kalau kata perlu dibawa sebelum dia breakdown, sebelum dia mengamuk ke apa. And if kalau lah kata you ada family member yang memang kita tahu ada masalah yang real dangerous punya ailments yang boleh bawa dia buat bertindak di luar kawalan, get them free. Kalau perlu di bawah jagaan 24 jam, bawa je. Have a look, have a care. Bukan apa, kadang-kadang they don't know themselves. Dan kita tak nak nanti dah jadi terlambat.
The government can help on this kind
The
of
government can help, definitely. So macam yang we've read about a couple of cases before yang this one guy ni, dia tak nak makan ubat, he hasn't been eating his medication for quite a while and suddenly acted out. Ugut orang ke, kalau ugut okay lagi, kata okay lah, it's still bad, but at least no physical harm or was done. But benda tu was it's preventable. Benda yang kita boleh elak, benda yang kita boleh address. So I think we've gone far and long on this conversation.
Yes. It is heavy
Do
topic.
you have ada apa kata-kata pesanan untuk people yang ada masalah, struggling with mental health?
I would say the same thing I told myself when I had a bit of a macam. I had my dream job. But due to some circumstances, I had to let it go. It was a hard decision to make. I don't know who to speak to. Get help. Talk to someone. Talk a professional. The reason I tahu is because I found out about the counselling line because I found the counselling line. I spoke to them.
Beautiful.
That's why I know about it. Kalau tak, orang tak tahu.
Do you know what the number is?
I can't remember, but I can. Benda tu is online.
Look it up, guys.
Look it up. So basically, if you need help, you don't know who to speak to. Sometimes it helps to speak to someone you don't know.
That's true.
A counselling person, because they can listen and they can tell you macam apa dah. They don't have bias because they don't know you. So you talk to them, all you punya mind sendiri macam mana kanan, macam mana, what are you thinking on this hand, on the other hand. You get me? The elephant trying to make a decision kan. On this hand, on the other hand, apa semua.
Kabut. And you get stuck.
Exactly. They are not going to tell you the answer, but they are going to help you work out through it.
At least organize your thoughts.
Yes.
And friends pun will also help identify things that you might not want to look at.
Yes. So
Macam
it helps.
I've gone through some hard times juga, and if I was to give any advice, kalau nak bagi nasihat kat siapa, first of all, dalam diri kita kena accept kita ada limit. Dan bila kita susah, we have to talk. Cuba cakap dengan, cari kawan. Kalau tak kawan, maybe if you're married, of course if your spouse is willing to sit and listen and talk, and it's beautiful. At least dalam tu ada somebody yang really care, that really loves you, and you can talk to and work out certain things. And if you have no one, call somebody for help. Because yang paling risau nowadays banyak nampak kes kat yang lompat kat Jambatan Penang and all that. It's sad and it's preventable, and kadang-kadang it feels like there's no way. Sometimes you feel that there's that long tunnel, it's all black, you tak nampak light yet.
But there is always light.
There is always. You
It's just that you
walk a
have
day,
to-
take the next step, keep walking, and if you get a chance to ask for help, go for it. Ask for it. It doesn't take much. And friends, look up after each other. Okay, buddies, friends. Me and Ding and Fitri, we go way back. Kita duk main game dari dulu lagi. So we know each other's struggles and we keep an eye out. So give back. Tolong. Kalau somebody needs help, be kind. Be nice.
Pay it forward.
Okay. So anyway, I think that wraps up our podcast this week. Sorry, it's a heavy
It's everything,
topic.
yes. I think for the next 2 weeks later, our next podcast, let's have something a bit lighter.
I agree.
It's a bit heavy though, this one.
I know, man. I know, but it's the topic to go to right now. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in. And of course, kita akan post the edited version on our YouTube channel. You guys are free and welcome to come around and review.
I have practiced it. Like, comment, and subscribe. I have practiced that, man.
Also, just so you guys know, we have our Patreon. We have our Patreon channel. We have Patreon account. So we're not asking for donations. We're not asking for help. But if you guys want to support us, want to help us out, get better equipment, and have a look at
Get like coffee.
get coffee, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so and also kalau ada apa-apa suggestion, please do.
Yeah.
But join us on Patreon. And if you'd like to donate, you're welcome. And kalau ada apa-apa comment, any new brands of coffee you guys want us to use,
Or
beritahu.
suggestions to us actually on what would you like to hear us talk about.
I think there was one mentioned on the previous Puan Sharifah. She suggested that we have a look into viral food places. Is it a scam or is it real?
Well, we could look into that.
Which is it's because some of them
You like food, I like food.
I love,
This is food.
and some of them can be false advertising.
Correct.
It could be a good title to talk about. So anyway, guys, so thanks a lot from me and
Ding.
okay, and also Fiti kat belakang, you guys can see. So I guess see you guys on the next one.
Dia lambai. Alright.